Colorado nightclub owner says shooting is part of a new type of hate. The co-owner of the Colorado Springs gay nightclub, where a shooter turned a drag queen's birthday celebration into a massacre, said he thinks the shooting that killed 5 people and injured 17 others is a reflection of anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment that has evolved from prejudice to incitement. Nic Grzecka's voice was tinged with exhaustion as he spoke with the Associated Press on This Week in some of his first comments since the attack at Club Q, a venue Grzecka helped build into an enclave that sustained the LGBTQ community in conservative-leaning Colorado Springs. Authorities haven't said why the suspect opened fire at the club before being subdued by patrons, but they are facing hate crime charges. The suspect, Anderson Lee Eldridge, 22, has not entered a plea or spoken about the incident. Grzecka said he believes the targeting of a drag queen event is connected to the art form being cast in a false light in recent months by right-wing activists and politicians who complain about the sexualization or grooming of children. Grzecka said, even though general acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community has grown, this new dynamic has created a dangerous, dangerous climate for the community. According to a Human Rights Campaign report, after Florida passed a Don't Say Gay bill, references to pedophiles and grooming in relation to LGBTQ plus people have risen 400% within 1 month. That's just insanity. Yeah. It's so interesting. You know, when I was, Safe Schools was a very big part of the whole Don't Say Gay movement. And I was talking to a lot of my LGBTQ brothers and sisters or other people, and they kept on saying, well, they're kids. This doesn't affect me. And I'm like, don't you understand the domino effect of all of this? It's definitely going to affect you. And I was shocked at how many people were just like, no, this doesn't affect me, not my problem.
I don't have kids, I'm not gonna have
I don't have kids,
so
it's not, but it's all of our problem. We have to stop this rhetoric.
That's a brilliant observation as a starting point for the conversation, because the intersection of abortion and women's rights and trans rights and how people of color are reflected, even in our own community, by privileged white gay men, they all intersect with each other. Yeah. We can see and connect the dots that if this is under attack, it's going to result in a response. And that attack is going to be catastrophic, like what we saw at Club Q.
Yeah. Well, and obviously we're sensitive to this, you know, especially being here in Florida after the Pulse nightclub shooting, but it's so clearly the arrow is pointing to the rhetoric from the right. The fact that the shooter's grandfather was this Randy Velpo, who's this right-wing Trumper. I mean, it's just obvious. It doesn't point anywhere else. Boebert, it points to all of these people. Trump.
And remember, the father, the shooter's father, basically, I'm paraphrasing the summary, but look it up because my paraphrase is going to be accurate. Wait, I'm very, very happy that it turns out that my son is not gay. That was his first reaction. Wow. Not the 5 people dead, or the 17 people that were shot and hospitalized.
Or the countless people affected.
Or the millions.
Or the millions of us that are now afraid to go into our own bars because of something that happened in Colorado.
That is a reflection of Tucker Carlson and Laura saying it over and over and over, and we believe, and Governor DeSantis, and people start to listen.
But just imagine to that person that's, thinking at the end of days is coming, and they have all this food and all these guns and everything, and they're watching Fox News and they're watching all this hate constantly on TV and on social media, saying they're grooming your children, they're coming after your children, they're going to take your children. Someone is really thinking that they're being a patriot by going into this nightclub and killing us.
Right, it's just fuel being added to a raging fire. That's what it is.
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, which is that 400%, Francesca, that you read is staggering. And I think this is one of the ways, too, that we can learn from history. That is, if we look at, this is not it's not unique, right? That is, after Anita Bryant, increase in anti-LGBTQ violence went up significantly. After HIV/AIDS first emerged, anti-LGBTQ violence went up significantly. No doubt, like, I mean, in the after Stonewall, there was massive arson in gay bars across the country in the early 70s. That is like, there's people who talk about rhetoric as not being, rhetoric is dangerous, and it fuels people,
Words
fuels hatred.
matter.
Words absolutely matter. That 400% speaks volumes.
Staggering. If we could take one more moment, can we put up the picture one more time of the shooter with the bruises? I want to ask you about this, which is one of the things that really fascinates me about this story. I posted about this and discussed it. Obviously, as you all know, I was dramatically affected by Pulse with Eddie Sotomayor. I always say his name, Edward Sotomayor. Something happened here that didn't happen at Pulse. This event lasted approximately 5.5 minutes. So let's say 6 minutes. 11:57, he walks in with the AR or whatever the long rifle was and starts to shoot. Within the first 2 minutes, he has shot 22 people in 2 minutes. By midnight, 3 minutes have gone by. Principally an ex-military person.
Now
instead
a groomer.
A groomer. Instead of running away, who might have been one of the 22 or one of the 5, instead runs right at him. And a drag queen also, as we know, and I apologize, I'm not conversational on the names, although we are going to do something at Queer News tonight, I assure you, with these people involved and this owner of this club. They run at the shooter. And the outcome difference of it ending in 3 minutes versus 5.5 hours at Pulse is you can't stand up to the gun. And one of the things that I think is interesting here is unless someone runs at the gun, which seems counterintuitive. What do y'all think about that? Because at 12:02, the police got there in 3 minutes. By 12:02, they had literally
He was on the floor.
He was on the floor and was being beaten.
Look, and how beautiful it is. I'm constantly saying how important our allies are. Our allies are everything to us. We can't get to the next step without you, okay? In this bar, an ally was the one who took this son of a bitch down, all right? An ally, a straight ally with his wife and his kid and his kid's boyfriend or girlfriend that got killed. That was one of the 5. I mean, these are things that we need to remember. And it wasn't a drag queen, it was a woman of living the trans experience. Let's make sure that we make sure that we say that correctly. And I also want to, just give a shout out to the, just say the person who died, Kelly Loving. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she was one of the 5 who unfortunately, expired that day. I mean, and this could have been so much worse. It's awful. Like, it's just disgusting. Sure. It makes my blood boil. It makes me uneasy. I'm afraid to go to bars in Wilton. There was an event at Hunter's the other day and I said, no, thank you, because I'm affected by this. This could have been right here, Al. It could have happened right in Wilton Manors. And I know I'm not the only LGBTQ plus person that feels that way. After this shooting, there was so many postings and so many people that were just so heavy-hearted, and it's not the last that we'll hear. Okay, this hate has only begun. Mark my words.
I think you're right. I mean, I know you don't speak. When I'm at a place, I look for exits. I'm concerned about crowds. I've always been that way, but it has increased significantly. I have to say, really, since Pulse. But it never stopped. And these things only remind me that we are. I'm very much at risk.
I completely agree with what you've just said. I just ask you again from the standpoint of his face and the beating in taking place almost instantaneously. You provide the context of an ally doing it for us. When I went through Pulse, it never even crossed my mind a single time if somebody would have ran at him, even to the point of potentially sacrificing their life. But if they could have gotten a hand on the gun, then someone else would have joined, and someone else would have joined.
And maybe your friend would still be here.
And Eddie would still be alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How can you not think
never thought about that at Pulse. Yeah. And Club Q, I go, wait, that's for the first time, these mass shootings, the approach is not the lock, and hide, but to attack and defeat.
And maybe it's because of Pulse. Maybe it's because of that trauma that people are saying, enough, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't do this to us. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to state the obvious too, but the normalization of all this, like
Yeah.
that is like, I mean, we have routines at our university of like it almost feels like not what to do if, but when. Like, I mean,
Lockdowns and-
they do this at schools, they do this at
And
like
it's always run and
workplaces.
take cover. It's never go and take the guy down.
It normalizes what is
That's what
not
jumps
normal.
off this story page to me is they did something that I don't know the number of people that were in this club, but if that person wouldn't have said, no, the right response is to attack, and I'm not judging anyone's choices in an event like this. I can't
Or
even-
suggesting one way or
or
another.
right, exactly.
We don't.
But this could have been Pulse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could have been tragic. This is terrible, but it could have.
Yeah.
If it went on for hours and hours, you can't stand up.
Well, I'm going to lighten up this conversation and say stilettos are a wonderful thing. Did you see those stiletto marks on his? Beautiful. Stilettos kill. I love it.
Artwork.
Yay.
Yes.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.